Hello, welcome to Made to Heal with Angela Brown. So, I'm going to share a lifestyle journey that I'm going on, and I invite you to join me in this journey. Before I get into that, check out the link for my book below. It is called You Are Made to Heal Spiritually, Emotionally, Mentally, and Physically. So, I suffered from depression, suicidal thoughts, anger, a lot of trapped childhood trauma, didn't know how to get past things, and hit rock bottom in the fall of 2015, or if you want to call it the dark night of the soul, that's where I was at, and hit rock bottom and turned my life over to God and Christ, and humbled myself and submitted myself to learn of their will and do the best I can to follow their lead. And they led me to classes, courses, ideas, and things to help me in my healing journey. And I have been going on 10 years without any depression or suicidal thoughts, and it has been miraculous. So I just invite you to check that link out to share it with others on their healing journey. So I want to share another healing journey because healing happens on a spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical level, right? This is going to be a long post today, so I apologize, but it's important for me to give the background of my story. So when my twin sister and I were babies, newborns, our parents kept taking us to the doctors, and the doctor's note kept saying failure to thrive, failure to thrive. We weren't gaining weight. My mom said that we had diarrhea constantly. We were projectile vomiting all the time, and we couldn't keep any weight on us, and we were losing weight. And so when we were about a year and a half, they took us to a specialist, and this specialist ended up diagnosing us with cystic fibrosis. And cystic fibrosis back in the late 70s was like a death sentence. They just said, wow, your girls are really sick and you're going to be really lucky if they make it past the age of 2. Go home and enjoy them. And they did say, look, if they live past the age of 5, it's not going to look pretty for them. They're going to be in and out of the hospitals for half their lives. They're going to live in the hospital pretty much. And it's going to be a long, hard road. And they said that most people with cystic fibrosis did not make it past their teens. And there was just a select few that made it barely past their teens into their early 20s. And they just said, we really don't recommend them having babies of their own because they usually die in their early 20s. So if they were to have a baby or two, they would be leaving that child or children motherless. And so it wasn't recommended that we had kids. So my parents, I'm so grateful for my parents. They, it's definitely God, right? God led. They were led by God. But it took action on their part. It took faith on their end to do what they knew they had to do to help save our lives. And so they just knew that there was another alternative. There had to be another way. That the medical system was not the only answer. They didn't know what, but they knew that it couldn't be their only option. And so they searched and they looked and they came across things. And I give credit to our parents because we wouldn't be living today had it not been for their hard work and sacrifice. In fact, I am sure my mom, especially because she was the one doing all of the work to keep us healthy and get us on track. But I'm sure she was wondering if it was worth it, if it was worth all the work that went into saving our lives. And because it took years, it took daily effort and years to get us on track from being so sickly at death's door to getting better. And then they had to deal with, entering the teenage years and us wanting to explore and be normal kids and eat what everybody else is eating. And so it was, I just grew up. I just remember going to grade school. As soon as we got into school, my mom would give the teacher and just have us sit down with the teacher going, these girls are on a strict diet. I cannot have them have any sugar whatsoever. So if there's a birthday party, please hand out these to my girls. They can't have any of that other stuff. So I just remember asking as a little child to my teacher, does it got sugar in it? Like hoping she would say, no, it doesn't have sugar. Would you like some? But every time the answer was yes, it has sugar. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't have it. So I was just, felt deprived as a kid going, oh, why can't I be normal? Why can't I be like everybody else? Why can they eat what they want and I can't? And, just as a small child, I couldn't understand. But fast forward, we get into our teens and we go off the bandwagon. We get off the course that our parents so valiantly fought for us to stay healthy. They changed their diet. They changed the whole family's diet for us to live. I mean, if you don't know what sacrifice means, that is huge to me, because here I am in my adult years struggling to have a healthy lifestyle and find that support. Because I'm the only one in my family that eats this certain way. It's so hard. My family eats an entire different way, my entire family. And I'm doing this on my own, which this time I'm not. I am going through God. I'm asking for God's help. So I'm not on my own. And there are a lot of people in this world that I can find support, right? So I just can't imagine them changing their lives, their lifestyle, and the sacrifice that it took years and years and years to get us on the road to health and healing. And had they not done that in our earlier years, we would not have made it past 2 or 5. We would have died at an early age. And they taught us at an early age, although we didn't understand, they taught us how to feed and nourish a body with good foods that will fuel and heal rather than create sickness. So I was learning here. I thought I was being punished all these years, but I was learning how what my body needed and how to be and have that intuition with my body. So then I get into my teenage years and all goes haywire. Then I get married and I just adopt the standard American diet, the sad diet. I'm going to call it sad diet because it is a sad diet. I adopted that because that's what my husband did. And it was just easy. And I just didn't want the headache of trying to switch everything up. So I did that. And then a couple years later, being married, not a couple years later, actually, it was about a little over a year, after we were married, I got pregnant with our first. And I was doing great for the first little bit. But then the last 6 weeks of my pregnancy, I was coughing up blood. I was so sick. I had a hard time getting out of bed and just coughing up blood. And it scared me to death. And God knew I wanted a large family. That was my wish ever since I was a small child. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a mom. I want to have lots of kids. I just want to have a big family. That was my dream. That was what I wanted. And so I was like, wow, I don't want to be sick. A mom that's sick in bed all the time and have health issues. I don't. And so I remember so my parents had stayed on this healthy diet. They always offered healthy food in our teen years. They always had how we were raised the whole time on healthy foods. And so I am forever grateful for that. It was just, we stepped out of the home. We would go to church functions. We would go to birthday parties. We would go out with friends and we would go hog wild on pizza, shakes, ice cream, candy bars, junk food, processed foods, nothing but processed foods. And little did I know in my teenage mind that they were super, super addicting. And so I'm grateful for them always having that as a basis to offer. And so so they had always eaten healthy. And when I was married, they had listened to a guy by the name of Tom Rogers. And they knew that I was sick and not feeling well. And I had this little baby. And they said, So when my baby was 6 weeks old, just my first baby, brand new, they said, "Hey, we have this meeting we want you and your husband to come to. So come listen to him." And I listened to this guy and I thought, I have nothing to lose. I want to try this lifestyle he's suggesting. And he suggested to go on a complete plant-based diet for 2 years. He said, you need to try it for 2 years. You got to give it a strict adherence for 2 years. If you don't feel better, then go back to how you're eating. Go back to whatever you want to eat. And I thought, you know what? I can commit to 2 years. I'll do that. I've done it my whole life on eating strict and healthy. I can do this. I didn't have the support. I mean, I had the support of my husband, kind of, when he just said, oh my gosh, she's stubborn and she's dead set on this. He ordered pizza every week or every night of the week for 3 weeks straight. As you know, as most people are addicted to cheese, I loved pizza. I loved cheese. And so that was really hard, but I didn't cave in. And he was like, wow, she's serious. And we continued to have children. And this strict plant-based diet I did for 11 years and never felt better in my entire life. I felt so good. Other than the fact that I dealt with acne. I struggled with acne on and off, super bad in my teens, bad in my 20s. I had acne so bad. And so I fell into the trap. I saw an ad on TV, and it was about Proactiv. And I just called my husband and I said, hey, I would like to try this Proactiv. Do I have your support? Can I? And he's like, yeah, do it. Just do it. And so I did. And I went on Proactiv, and it cleared up my acne, and I was super happy with that. But then fast forward, I had a miscarriage. A while after, maybe after a year of using the stuff, I had a miscarriage, and something told me to look on that bottle maybe about a month after, and it did say that it could be the cause of miscarriages. And I was like, I'll be danged, I am not going to touch this stuff again. So I got rid of it. And when I stopped using Proactiv, I broke out like no other time in my life. I was so embarrassed. I had zits on top of zits on top of zits. I had acne that covered my entire face. It makes me emotional because I remember the pain that it caused. I couldn't go to church for 2 months. I wouldn't go to church because it was that bad. I wouldn't do any grocery shopping. I stayed like a hermit in my house for 2 months because of the way I looked and felt. And I already struggled with self-esteem, and I already had dealt with postpartum depression, and so it was awful. My image of myself was distorted, and I couldn't do anything. So I just remember and I didn't even want to go hang out and play games with my family. Get together on Sunday evenings, they'd like to play games, and I wouldn't show up. And finally, when my parents called and said, hey, just come, and I'm like, I am not going anywhere. And my dad was asking what was going on, and I told him about my acne problem, and he said, just go on the raw diet. Just go on complete fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds. Just do that. And I guarantee you that'll clear things up. And at that point, I was desperate. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to try it. I will try anything. So I did. I went on the strict raw diet, and I did it for 5 months. And that was hard. It was so hard because, again, it was just me and my household that was doing it. I had actually tried the raw diet a couple years prior because my parents had gone raw too in the meantime. And I had actually tried the raw diet for about a year's time. And then, so this is my second time of trying the raw diet. It was just so hard. It's hard. It takes a lot of willpower. And so I'm doing it again for the second time, and knowing that I wasn't going to do it for a long time, just like, I'm just going to do it enough to clear out my body system, to clear up my acne. And in 3 months time, being on the raw diet with fruits, vegetables, and nuts and seeds and sprouts, living foods, my acne went completely away. My skin was flawless. It was beautiful. It glowed. It was radiant. And I was just shocked, and shocked, but not shocked, right? Because I knew I was taught in my early years of how living foods heal the body. And so after doing it for 5 months, the family's sitting around eating popcorn, and I get this FOMO really bad, like the fear of missing out, and kind of like the resentment of missing out, not FOMO, but ROMO. I was like kind of resentful of missing out, and they're eating what they want. And I love popcorn. So that was it. I went to eating popcorn, and then everything else I added. So, but I stayed on that strict vegetarian diet, the vegan diet, and continue that up for 11 years. And then I hit my fifth pregnancy. And I craved everything under the sun, everything. And I caved in to those cravings. So I went back onto a standard American diet, ate what I want. I saw it, I liked it, I wanted it, I ate it. And when my fifth child became 6 or 7, I knew my health was declining and I wasn't feeling good. And I kept telling my husband, there's going to be a time. And I fought it. I fought it for years. I fought it for another 6 or 7 years because I knew I was going to be the only one again in my household to do it. And so it's going to be hard. And so it took years for me to actually get to do it. But finally, by the time my fifth child was 13, I had health issues going on with my physical health. And I am like, you know what? And then I listened to a guy on YouTube. I can't even remember his name, but you know how you are influenced by other people rather than your own parents? You're just not going to listen to them. Yeah. I've heard them my whole life, and they don't have anything new to share with me. And I don't want to listen to them. And so I listened to this guy online, and how he presented it, how he said it, it really struck a chord with me. And I'm like, you know what? What have I got to lose? My job is at stake right now because I'm not feeling good, and I can't move, and I'm in pain from my fingertips to the bottom of my shoulder blades, and I am just in pain right now. So what do I got to lose? So I did. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on this raw diet again. I'm going to try it. And I did it. And by day 4, the pain that I had had for 8 months, the pain that I had had on day 4 went completely away. And I'm like, okay, here is validation that how we eat, what we eat, really truly affects how we feel and how we perform in life. And I was super excited. I went completely off of sugars too. Like, that is the raw diet. You're going completely off of sugar. The only form of sugar I did was dates and pure maple syrup. And I felt so good. And we live in such a society that you show up and there's parties and functions, neighborhood parties and community things, and you just feel like you stick out like a sore thumb because you aren't eating what everybody else is eating. And that has always been a hard thing for me because I've had to do it my whole life, and I hate it. And I hate being the odd one out and having to explain to everybody why, because you're a spectacle, and people are like, well, why aren't you eating? You knew there was food here. Why aren't you eating that? And it's, I don't want to make them feel shamed for eating what they're eating, but it's like, I can't eat how you guys eat. I can't. I want to feel good. So fast forward. So this is a couple of years ago. Went on the raw for about a year. Well, 3 years ago, I went on the diet, raw, and it's not diet. I want to say, take the word diet out. Diet is a die with a T. And so, I'm not on a diet. I think, lifestyle is the key word, lifestyle. So I went on this huge altering lifestyle change to help my physical health 3 years ago. And like I said, I was the only one in my household, so it was a little challenging, very hard. And so I'm like, okay, we'll do it. But it didn't last. It lasted, and I had no sugar, any of that stuff. I was on top of my game. I didn't have brain fog. I didn't have the pain anymore. I felt better in my mid 40s than I did in my mid 30s. I was like feeling so good. And but one little something that gets you hooked onto, and then I went from being raw plant-based to completely standard American diet again, eating anything and everything. And it has just come recently that I'm like, I am feeling like crap. I feel like crap. I'm not remembering like I know I can remember. My brain is being affected. I have brain fog. I'm just tired and sluggish all the time. I'm just feeling like poop. Like that's the best way to describe it. I'm just feeling like crap all the time. And I'm always having tummy troubles. So people with cystic fibrosis, and I have just told people for years, they're like, there's no way you have cystic fibrosis. In fact, my husband's grandmother was a nurse, and she was like, she did not have cystic fibrosis, but that's a whole different story. I do. I was born and diagnosed with it, with the top, doctor. I had a cousin, a baby cousin that died of it at a few weeks old. So it is in my genes. It's something that I've had, but I am a firm believer that we do not get this death sentence, and that's just it. If you get told you've got cancer, you're at stage 4 this, and you're not going to live long, you do not have to take that answer and go with it. You can make this choice of there's got to be another way. I want to prolong my life. And even if you prolonged it 2, 4, or several years past what the doctors tell you, I just truly believe that we have the opportunity to be able to heal because God is in us. And that is exactly why I wrote my book. You are made to heal physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. So we are made to heal because God is in us. And so I just lately, I'm just like, my body has been saying, it's been talking to me, right? Our bodies talk to us all the time. So I'm super into intuitive eating. Listen to your body after everything you eat. Maybe you have that soda or that candy bar that you feel like it gives you a little boost of energy, and then you are going to just crash every time because that's what sugar does to the brain. And you're just going to crash. And I've had several books. I've read several health books, not even a fraction of what my dad has read, because he has read hundreds, if not in the thousands, of health books. But I have just read a fraction of the books. But I've learned so much about diet and the body, and I've had my body been talking to me, and I know exactly why I'm feeling like crud, because I have been on the standard American diet for the last year and a half. And I've always found an excuse. Well, it's hard. I don't have support. It's really hard to do this lifestyle on my own in the walls of my own home. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just wait till after the holidays, because we just had Thanksgiving, and God has been telling me, like, okay, it's time to make that shift. You want to feel better. It's time to make the shift. You quit waiting. What are you waiting for? And it was just, I'm waiting and waiting. I'm like, well, maybe I'll just wait until after the holidays. I will just enjoy all this stuff, and I'll wait until after the holidays. And then I'm like, well, after the holidays, then it's Valentine's, and then it's Easter, and then it's, Mother's Day and the 4th of July and all the stuff that comes throughout the year, right? There's always going to be something. And that's kind of what the thought that God put in, like, hey, you know what? There's always going to be something. You're always going to be dancing around it. And so if you just keep waiting, what are you waiting for? Just if this is what you need to do to feel good, you have that knowledge, you have the power within you, you got this, you can do this. And so I watched, and it's funny because I've been feeling like crap, and I'm like, oh, I need to make some changes. I sure need to make some changes. And I'm going to get emotional about it. But my dad, he's an amazing guy. He, sorry, I'm gonna grab some Kleenex, and I'm glad I always keep some in my van. My dad is an amazing guy, because on Sunday, out of the blue, he just sends this YouTube video of a lady being interviewed And I related to her on all levels. I related to her so much. She has my same faith. She's LDS, I'm LDS, and so I'm like, okay, I can relate to her on that level. And she had dealt with some abuse and stuff growing up, and I'm like, I can relate to her on that level. And so much of her story that I was like, wow. And she said something that really hit me because I can't, I don't relate with her on this level because this lady, and I'm going to shout out her name. Her name is Laura Johnson, and you can find her on Instagram, and I think it's Laura Johnson Music. But she was saying how I've been a Christian my whole life. I was raised in a Christian home my whole life. She was saying how she was raised in an atheistic background. She was raised by atheists where God wasn't in her life in the beginning of her life. And she found that. I mean, God found her, right? Really? She found that. And she had said that switching her lifestyle with the whole foods and all that, because she is a raw, she eats raw. And she said that switching your eating habits over drastically is harder than changing your belief system, your religion. It's harder than changing a religion. And I wouldn't know that because I personally haven't experienced changing my religion. But I'm like, that gave me a perspective of, oh, I am I'm against a fight here. Like I mean, this is going to be hard. This is going to be hard. But she had said something that made so much sense in her interview. And I will send a link to her interview in the comments below, because if you're curious or whatever, she just points things out, that her story, and she shares how she's been able to help cure major things. She shouldn't be alive today if it were according to doctors, and she kept going how she was, but through food she was able to be healed. And I don't want to say she healed herself, because God is our ultimate healer. God did it. God gave her the information. God put the right people in her path. God put the right desire in her mind. But she had said that she was having a struggle because she had been off and on with healthy eating, and she had struggled. And what she did just resonated with me, because I'm like, God, I know I'm supposed to eat healthy. It's going to be really hard. This is so hard. I keep saying this is so hard. This is just, I don't feel like I have support, and it's really hard. And I'm a mind person, right? I know the power of thoughts. And so I'm like, I have got to change my thinking. This is not going to be hard. But what she said in her interview had such an impact that I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could flip it around that way, then it won't be so hard. So I just remember doing what she had done. She had gone to God and she said, God, this is hard. I need your help, and I need you to take these addictions from me. I need you to take this, because this is what I need to do to feel better. And so that's kind of what I've done. I'm here. We are in the middle of the holidays, and it's just, I'm day 2 into starting to put live foods into my body. And you guys, after one day, I'm going to get into, I won't get into it all, but tomorrow I'm going to talk about a subject that is, nobody talks about that because it's embarrassing, or, we don't talk about that. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So stay tuned. But this is something that I've decided to do right in the middle of the holidays. I'm like, you know what? There's no time. I mean, I waited until after Thanksgiving weekend. I gorged myself on just about whatever I wanted. And, but I was feeling the effects, right? My body has never been able to handle dairy or meat very well. It just doesn't digest, process, whatever. And dairy, people with cystic fibrosis create more mucus than the regular person. So I'll be sitting in a quiet meeting and I'm just there clearing my throat, like, I'm trying to clear it out of my lungs because I create extra mucus, and I always have this raspy uh, froggy voice, and I'm like, you know what? And it's dairy, and I've known that, and I get a lot of sore throats, and so I'm like tired of feeling like poop. I'm tired of feeling crappy, and so I'm like, you know what? We're in the middle of the holidays, and yeah, I'm just gonna start. I had my fun. I ate my crap this whole week, and I feel like crap, and now I'm going to start. And um, I'm going with a whole different attitude that with God I can do all things, and so I am just here to support you in anything you feel like you want to improve in your lifestyle. Physically, it's so important. We must feel good physically. I want you to take just a few minutes, sit down, and ask yourself these questions. How do I feel every day? What do I feel? How do I sleep at night? Do I have any physical ailments? Do I have headaches, or do I have stomach issues? Do I have digestive issues? Same as stomach. I get it. There's different things that can go on with the stomach, either with stress, anxiety, or digestive, or cramping. Women, oh, that was another thing that after watching this interview with Lara, she had said I've hit perimenopause. I'm in the menopause stage. You don't find anyone that talks about menopause other than, oh my gosh, the horrible night flash, or the horrible hot flashes, and the different things. And I have entered that stage, the perimenopause, and it hasn't been awful for me, but it hasn't been very pleasant either. And so listening to this lady that's, a few years ahead of me, she was saying, I haven't had any of those symptoms because of the way I eat. I haven't had any of that. And I was able to go through the whole menopause thing beautifully without any hot flashes and any of that undesired stuff. So I'm like, you know what? That right there is going to be an incentive for me to keep going and feeding my body and fueling it good. So it's so important that we take these questions and ask ourselves, be honest with yourself. Am I drinking sodas? Am I drinking enough water? Am I feeling energized in the day, or do I feel tired and sluggish? Am I forgetful? Am I remembering things? Am I sharp as a tack in the mind? Am I just remembering everything? I'm telling you, our food has everything to do with our spiritual, emotional, and mental health. What we physically put into our bodies will affect us on all levels. And if we're feeling sick or lethargic or not good in any way, it gets in the way of our spiritual, emotional, mental progression. So decide what it is, what you would like to do, what lifestyle you would like to do to help change your world. Maybe you're like, oh, what you're doing is so drastic. I can't do that. Don't ever put another person on a pedestal as if they can do that and you can't. That's just you getting in your own way. We can do anything we set our minds to. We can achieve anything. It's not a matter of can or cannot do something. It's just a matter of will you change your mindset? Will you change your eating habits? Will you? Is it going to take something serious, you to get diagnosed with something that's really scary and that's going to affect you the rest of your life? Or are you just want to, maybe you're in your mid 40s or your 50s or early 60s, and you're like, enough is enough and I just want to feel good. Maybe you're seeing others around you, your parents aging, and you don't want to go through all that. You don't want to be on meds and in and out of doctor's appointments, and you really want to just live. And I love the saying, I think it was Dave Ramsey, it's quoted in my book. I'm pretty sure it's Dave Ramsey that had said, live today like no one else, so that tomorrow you can live like no one else. And it is so true. Whatever we are willing to put into our healing journey, whatever investment we want to throw into our bank, ourselves, we will get in return. We will get it. And if we're just throwing garbage into our system and junk food and different things, we will have to pay the piper at one point or another. So we do have that power within us to take charge and control of our physical health. And when we take charge and control of our physical health, then we will be able to have it bleeds into so many things spiritual, because food, whether you think it or not, it is. So let's just take, I don't know, if you're a member of my faith, we do fasting. We fast once a month, and we deprive ourselves of food and water for 3 meals. And we do this, and it is not just a physical thing level, but it's a spiritual. When we can release or put aside our carnal appetite desires and connect with God on a different level, it does something spiritually for us. It's healing. It's amazing. I've had a lot of stories of the power of prayer and fasting. And so when you have a lifestyle challenge, maybe you're just like, oh my gosh, I am on the standard American diet and I drink sodas. I consume a lot of sugar. I consume probably way more meat than I need to, and a lot of dairy, or whatever your whatever you feel like your struggles are. Like, God is within us. So if you just ask, maybe you're unsure of where to start. Like, I don't know, I couldn't do all of it. Just start with one thing. An improvement in your health is an improvement in your health. But you're gonna, I'm telling you, you're gonna start feeling better eliminating one thing, and you're like, you know what, I'm still not there. I still don't feel good. I still break out. I still have skin issues there. I still have this going on. What am I missing? And you constantly ask questions. When you ask questions, God within is going to let you know what it is you need to do next. And so once you have that knowledge, once you know what your body can tolerate and cannot tolerate, it's time to listen. Time to listen, and not only listen, but you act. That's where faith comes in. You act. You listen, you take it, you believe it, and you act on it. And that's kind of where I'm at. I know this is, I probably sound a little hypocritical. This is my 4th or 5th time around going on the raw diet. But I am telling you, I've done it enough times to where I know this is how I need to eat, because I feel so amazing. I feel like I come alive. I feel like I am just on top of my game in no matter what I do, because I feel so good. Anyway, if I can help you in your healing journey, physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, or whatever, I'm here to support you. That is my mission, and my purpose in life is to help others in their healing journey. I know that if I can do changes, you can do. God bless you. This is just my journey of changing my lifestyle to help me feel better physically, and join me on it. Do it with me if you feel inspired, or make changes here and there, wherever. But we all need support. We all need support in helping each other grow. And maybe you don't, but a little support on your end with a message like, hey, you got this. You can do this. That's awesome. I love support. But God is our greatest supporter. He loves us all so much, and He wants us to feel good. He wants us to be able to serve others around us at a better capacity. He doesn't want us feeling sick and sluggish and tired and wondering how we're going to help the next guy out when we can barely even help ourselves. Honestly, He wants us to be able to be at our prime, at our best. And I truly believe that people in their 80s can feel amazing. Like, I envision myself in my 80s as being someone that doesn't have hip problems, or doesn't have a hard time walking around, getting around. I envision myself full of health and vitality. And I have this picture in my mind of what my life is going to look like. And we got to put in the work. If you have this vision of health and wellness, you've got to put in the work now. You've got to do it before it's too late. You really do. And it's important that you're willing to invest in yourself. You are so valuable. You are so worth it. Every bit that you have is so worth it, because God has made us to heal. And I'm living proof of it. I'm living proof of it. I was supposed to not be here after the age of 2, let alone 5, let alone my teenage years. I feel like God has blessed me with, I am 47. I am 47 right now, and God has blessed me with 45 extra years. And a lot of it was spent with depression and suicidal thoughts and in a victim mindset. And I have learned so much on my journey there. And I've learned so much on my journey with the physical health, spiritual, emotional, mental. It's just, we need to invest in ourselves. That self-care is huge. We need to really have that connection with God. When we get to know God on a personal level and have that connection, then we know ourselves. To know God is to know oneself. And if you don't know who you are and what your likes and interests are and what your talents and gifts are, connect with God. I promise you, He's going to make them aware to you, because you are here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. We all have purpose and a mission to help others in their journey. So God bless. And until next time, I am going to share tomorrow. Stay tuned, because I'm going to share what people don't talk about. Oh, we don't talk about that. That's embarrassing, or that's taboo to talk about it. You know what? I'm going to talk about it. So we will be in tune. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and God bless you. Please like and subscribe to this channel, share it with others. And until next time, bye.